A little reverb here on the streams. Hello, welcome to Twitchline. I am your caster, Odo Hori. Joined as always with me is my best friend and co-caster here on Twitchline, Mr. Acorn. How are you today?
Doing well, sir. How about yourself?
I'm okay. I saw my team lose the UEFA Super Cup today, this afternoon. Heartbreaking way. I always hate losing on penalties, but it is what it is. At least we didn't get thrashed 4-0 like we did on the weekend to Manchester United. So that was my day. So it's been soccer all
Ouch.
day, considering even though I was at work. So, I have a very lax work environment. What can I say?
Well, now it's all forever saved to YouTube, so if your boss ever finds it, he'll know what you're up to.
Oh, he knows what I'm doing when I go into a conference room and all I'm doing is staring at my laptop.
Working hard.
Working hard, working hard. But yeah, as always, welcome to Twitchline, everybody. It is your home for relationship advice here on Twitch. As always, you can contact us via email here on at Gmail using the email address twitchlinelove@gmail.com. You can also tweet us on Twitter at Twitchline. Uh, you can send articles, notes, comments, anything like that to both of those, and we will respond as soon as we see the little notification show up. Also, we are streaming to YouTube for anybody watching on YouTube. Hello. We archive all of our shows onto YouTube, so if you want to see any past shows, what we did on our Sunday Focus show, you can go over to YouTube, just click the button below here, and click and go directly to our YouTube channel. You can also search Twitchline Love on YouTube, and it'll take you to our channel. And if you're interested on taking us on the go, we are also on SoundCloud. So if you want to also click downstairs, click down below, or search Twitchline on SoundCloud, you will get us and you can see where our recent shows are posted, and you can listen to them on your phone, on your iPad, in your car, or anywhere on the go. Just use the SoundCloud app. Got that all out of the way. So, always interested in always doing the socials for everyone as they can always follow us. But I think we've got a full day today of topics that we want to cover from Reddit. So let's see where we're going. What is going on here? Uh oh, looks like they're. Uh, oh, you know, as always, I'm always forgetting things, and it looks like I have forgotten to update our Twitch. Goodness gracious, always forgetting how to do stuff. I can edit this right now. So here we go. Tim, can you talk about what we're going to be talking about today?
Sure. We've got three tasty and delicious topics for you this evening, all pulled from Reddit, from the various dating subreddits. I believe tonight we're pulling from two of them are from Dating Over 30, where we look at people who've going through the dating process 30 years or older, and then one from a relationship advice Reddit. And we're going to start off tonight with a topic which actually I've seen come up over and over again recently, and that is related to people who are using apps and sites to connect with more than one person at the same time, dating multiple people concurrently. And some people are having some questions about what's the right thing to do there. What do they have to, what do they owe someone? What are they allowed to do? What are they not allowed to do? So we're going to look at that to start off tonight. And if you don't mind, Z, I'll just go ahead and start reading.
All right, let's go to the first topic, shall we?
Yep. This is posted by user Green Uke, uh, and it is: Are you dating multiple men and women, and how many? I'm a young professional living in a big city, seeking to find a lifelong partner. I, a 30-year-old female, am currently seeing two guys. Guy A, I met at the gym, a 37-year-old male, and Guy B on Bumble, a 32-year-old male. We hang out about once or twice weekly, or bi-weekly, yes. Um, I've been seeing A since 7 weeks now, and B for 2 weeks. I think they do date other women as well. Guy A tells me he wants a relationship at some point, but is not showing interest between our meetups, and I don't want to look needy, so I won't text much. Guy B is super intense on me and shows a lot of interest. Maybe a lack of interest of A made me date B. In the past, I've dated 4 men at the same time, but it was way too time consuming, impacting other aspects of my life, training, sleep, etc. I think 2 men is just the right balance for me. So, when over 30, do you date multiple person at the same time? How many is too many? Do you disclose this information at the beginning or assume that they multi date? In my circle of younger friends, this is normal to multi date, but older friends, not so much. All right, so before we go anywhere with this one,
Hmm.
do you have any impressions, any first thoughts that come to you when you hear this lady's story?
She seems very, very comfortable dating multiple people at the same time, which to me thinks uh, she has a problem with commitment. And it's one of those things in which, if I was a guy on the other side of this, I would not like it. I'm a one of one person at a time sort of guy. The whole idea of dating multiple people at the same time, I understand it, especially if you're at the beginning of a relationship, uh, or you're trying to go out there and try to meet people. You go out on multiple occasions on do multiple things. I get it. That's fine, but she says, I think 2 men is just the right balance for me. And it's like, okay. Um, if you start to really like one of the guys, then and you like both of them, then you put yourself in a quandary about what you should be doing. And then theoretically, at that point, um, you are you either have to disclose that you're going to be dating multiple people at the same time, in which the first person you probably disclose it to will probably not be comfortable with it unless they are also into doing the whole thing. But I don't know. I think she's right. Younger people have a tendency to sort of go out with more people and hang out with and go on dates with multiple guys and girls. Same thing. But older people are looking for a commitment, and they are going to be looking for a stable, monogamous relationship. And by dating multiple people, I just think when you're at an older age, it's a bit dishonest, because the people that are older, the 35 pluses, who are still single and still looking for somebody, are going to make sure that they are really just hunting for a life partner. And if you are not fully committed to that, they probably wouldn't be interested. But that is my opinion on the matter. How about you?
Well, I mean, she starts off by saying that she's a young professional, big city, that's pretty common, but that she is seeking a lifelong partner. So I don't think she's going into this just sort of messing around. I think she actually is considering finding someone. And she herself admits that the first guy's behavior is sort of wishy-washy. She's
Mm-hmm.
not getting a real feel from him, and that the second guy, probably got his opportunity simply because the first guy wasn't all the way into it. Um, Needless to say, she's still juggling a bit and seems to be okay with it, seems to be comfortable with it, recognizes the benefits of it. But multiple times in her write up here, she's made it clear that she hasn't really had this conversation with them. She
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know if they're dating other people, and that's kind of a tricky situation to be in. So that's why I think there's there's probably some questions everyone need to ask themselves if they're going to be getting into this kind of situation, and if they want to multi-date, then they need to take responsibility for what they're doing and make sure that they're not trampling on anyone. So just at the get-go, like, yes or no, do you think this style of dating, multi-dating, uh, helps or hinders someone who's looking for a lifelong partner? That's not a yes or no question. Do you think it helps or hinders?
I have to think about it. I would think more than likely it helps, because you have the opportunity to uh, basically date more people in this particular way. The only way that I think it hinders, and I might already hinder her, is that once you get used to it, you become uh, a little, I want to say, it becomes a little bit more difficult to commit. So you're so used to juggling, seeking the attention of multiple people. People get addicted on that. They like being, you know, being, sort of fawned over by multiple people, and sometimes getting monogamous can be somewhat difficult. So that's the problem I see with it. But I think it helps more than it hurts, especially in a big city where people are very fast and they are looking for different things, and it's better to go out there and see what you can find.
True. Yeah, I think that this is definitely a younger person's thing, a
Hmm.
younger person's game, where everything is fast and temporary, disposable, even. Um, and I think that if you're comfortable with it, you can do well with it. And if you're not, you should not be trying to do it because it's probably not for you. Um, I don't know that there's like research done to say that this is an effective way to find a life partner. I do know you put yourself out there more, you get more connections with other people. You've met more people, therefore maybe you have a better chance of finding this person that's going to connect with you so well. But there are also probably things that'll get in the way of it. Um, and also, I kind of question, like, are you legitimately giving someone a chance if you've got one foot in this door and then one foot in another? You know, like, how much can you really give of yourself or expect to get from someone if you are, you know, in multiple places at once? So the questions I came up with to ask people, and maybe ask yourself if you're thinking about dating multiple people at once. Which in the first one, I think this is the most important one. Is it have you explicitly had a conversation about what's okay and what is not okay as it relates to dating other people? Are you comfortable with this person that you're dating also dating multiple other people? And you need to know that before you get into it, and you need to know what their thoughts are on it. So you need to be much more transparent with what you're doing in dating in this kind of situation. When it's a one-on-one, you can just sort of feel each other out. You don't really have to worry about the rest of the world on that. With this, I think you owe it to the person and they owe it to you to be a little bit more direct about that. And is it okay? Are you okay with this person doing that thing, the same thing? And do you trust that this person is having safe sex with their other partners and being straight with them about their situation? Right? I mean, if you're just dating, if you're just going out and having dinner, there's no real harm in doing that with 100 people, right?
Hmm.
If it's just dinner. But the second that it gets intimate to the point where you are at risk of spreading a disease, catching and spreading a disease, catching and spreading spawn, like having children, um, like when those serious things come up and the things that would affect other members of this multi-dating situation, I think you then owe it to these people to be straight. And that might make them run away. That might make them say, "Hey, I'm not trying to get in deep." Like, if you're sleeping with someone else, I don't want to be casually dating you on the side.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. And then you can ask them, ask yourself, how do you plan to deal with it if they indicate that they want something more with you, right? If one of them wants something more with you and the other ones aren't really interested in that, that's going to mess up the whole dynamic of the whole thing. Unless you're like, yes, you're the one, and then you get rid of the rest. But what are the chances that that's the one you want? I kind of feel like if you're doing this, that you're not necessarily that maybe that's not it. Maybe that if that thing was there, you kind of know it quickly, but perhaps not. And then the last part, I would say, also ask yourself, like, exactly how long does it take for you to figure out that you are or are not into someone? If you're doing this multi-dating thing and it's going on over the course of months and months, at some point, it's kind of be it's going to be emotionally responsible to drag people along while you figure out which one of them you like more than the other, or waiting around forever for them to figure out if they like you. Because besides that, you're just in a bunch of friends with benefit situations with multiple people, and that's a
No,
whole different thing.
that's exactly right, and that's the thing. Like, I'm okay with it if it's 1 to 2 dates, 3 dates maybe, or four if you're just trying to sort of figure it out and you're trying to balance between the two. But at some point, you know, if you've been going out with both of them for 4 dates and you still don't know, it's probably more than likely that neither of them or want or either you would want to commit to. It's just my way of thinking. And the thing about it is like the stereotype is that guys would normally do this all the time. Like they have
Like
somebody
given the
that
choice.
yeah. Like I mean, if you want to generalize it, it's guys who go out with multiple women and do all this stuff. That's the stereotypical thing. In this particular case, it's a woman trying to figure out what she wants to do, and she's not explicitly looking for multiple people. So like one she met at the gym, and the other one she met on Bumble, which was the one that she was specifically going out and looking for. But it's if she hasn't if she hasn't figured it out in within a month, then it's I am disapproving of that. I just don't find that honest in some way. I mean, you have to pick
But what
one.
if she is honest about it?
If she's honest and tells them about it, then okay. If both guys are okay with that, then that's their problem at that point. Um, but if she's not and she hasn't told them, uh, then I would think that that would be her theoretically cheating at that point, and just sort of justifying
Well,
it
I
by
mean,
saying like that she is dating multiple men and trying to figure it out. So it's you know
right. I mean, unless you've established something with the person, it's not. I wouldn't consider it cheating. Like unless you say, "Hey, we're together now," then
uh,
the extra stuff might be cheating. But like, think about all the situations where you're with someone, and 2 years into the relationship, you find out, "Oh, hey, I was dating multiple people at the beginning of the relationship." Like that might rewrite your history a little bit. And you might be like, "Oh, wait, what? Now I'm messed up over this." Like,
no, you're
so people got to
absolutely
be
right.
careful.
You're absolutely right. But the thing about it is, I don't know if I'm a little old school, old fashioned or something like that. But if you don't know within a month after dating somebody, maybe you just like hanging out with them. I guess it's like, but if you don't want to be with them, then you're just hanging out. Then you're not really dating them. But if you are seriously actually going out with people in a month, you probably have had anywhere between 3 and 5 dates. If you don't know at that point, then it's that's completely on you. But that's just me. I mean, I'm a little bit more old fashioned when it comes to that. So and especially like if you find somebody that you like, I'm not a juggler. I've never been that. It's one of those things in which it's just like I would personally, if I found out after a certain period of time that she's been seeing multiple guys, me being one of them, I'd be like, sorry, I don't want to be guy B in whatever situation that you're going to be at, and then I would just immediately just sort of bug out. I wouldn't take
Yeah.
offense to it, but I would just be like, "That's not me. Sorry."
Hey, that's
So,
and that's amazing. That's a perfect point. Like you need to be asking yourself, are you comfortable with the fact that there are a lot of people out there that are not okay with this sort of arrangement? And therefore, you might be cutting out a bunch of possibilities because you're basically like anyone who just wants a one-on-one thing and doesn't want to do this multi-person thing. Uh, those people are just going to be like, no, that's not. I'm not okay with that. And that's a lot of people, I think.
hmm there is a lot of
So,
people. Yep.
you know, you're just making it so that the multi-daters are your options. And maybe you want that, maybe you don't. But you got to be aware of it, right? And that's what we're going for here is awareness of what's going on in the dating world and relationships, not just what personally works for any one person.
No, exactly right.
So,
hmm
and I kind of got a sense of your take already. I'm the same as you actually. I guess you call it old school.
hmm
This would be a big nope for me. I don't think I'd be comfortable with the person that I'm going out and trying to like get to know better, also doing the same thing with other people at the same time. Only because like I'm kind of a one directional,
hmm
like the hunters with their pointer dogs. Like I find the duck, I stick my nose at it. That's the one I want. so, so, and it's just too much trouble. I'm not trying to juggle. Maybe I'm lazy, but that just won't work for me.
well, that's the
So,
thing,
like,
right? Like,
oh, yeah, go ahead.
like if you're in a college environment, this is completely acceptable because that's what college students do. I mean, we knew guys that lived in our dorm hall and in our apartment that would try to juggle as best they can. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But that was college is just a giant melting pot of hormones, pretty much. So it would be not uncommon to hear any of your friends doing this at that point, and it would be actually relatively normal. It's just when you get older and you actually get out into the world, I just think that it is just not something that you would want, especially if you are seriously trying to find like a significant other.
Yeah.
So,
And
mhm,
you got to think also about like what can go wrong.
mhm.
So, you know, just like you said, people can lose sight of the whole like finding the one idea and get used to more of like a merry-go-round type of dating where there's a lot of new people coming in, it lasts a couple of dates, a couple of weeks, whatever, and then the whole thing starts over again. So it keeps the excitement high, it keeps the honeymoon high, it keeps the hormones rolling, but does it actually get you any closer to finding the one? Probably not.
Mm.
We have a friend, a mutual friend, who we will not give any names here, but she basically ran through Match.com in this area. She dated every dude on there,
I know
and
who you're talking
she would
about.
show up to our weekend parties. Uh, and even if it wasn't a party, just when we hung out on the weekends, she would show up every week with a new guy. Every week. And it was, "Hey, how you doing? You're not gonna last long, buddy." Like we just knew. Eventually, when she reached the end of Match.com, she did make a connection and she got married and she's happy and everything's great. But I don't think all that multi-dating, hip hopping, that just it didn't do good stuff for her. She was not very happy about that whole thing.
No,
So
she got jaded after a while
yeah,
because she it actually leads in great to our next topic because it's one of those things in which that type of multi-dating actually ended up being negative for her because at some point she couldn't make up her mind anymore. And there were some perfectly nice guys, if I remember right, who were just like, dude, I'm sorry. Because this is probably not going to work out. And everybody knew. But it was just one of those things in which it's like, what are you finding wrong with them now? So it's, you end up when you do that from the experiences that we've gone through is end up becoming really extremely picky, and it really has a tendency to hurt your own judgment because at some point you sort of lose touch with regards to what it is that you actually want. So,
yep. And
hmm
and if you don't become jaded, you at the very least become fatigued, right? This can
hmm
lead to dating fatigue. After 100 people who are not the one, you start doubting that it'll ever happen at all, and you just get worn out. You don't want to do it anymore, and that definitely doesn't get you the one.
hmm
So people, they've been writing all kinds of stuff about how sometimes people get confused. You're dating three people at once. Well, is the one in front of you right now the one that grew up in Arizona, or was that the other guy or the other girl? You don't want to make that mistake.
yep.
And then at some point, it might be a time for a little introspection, and you can say, is it possible that you're doing this because it keeps you from having to invest in anyone too deeply and that you can avoid getting hurt? It might be going too deep for some people, but it is possible. Some people remain on the surface because that's what works for them. And that even though they want to have a deeper invested connection with someone else, the behavior that they exhibit and the way that they connect to other people is very superficial and very fast food. Take it up, eat it, throw it away, move on.
Yep. Somewhat
So,
disposable, and
yeah,
it's disheartening when that happens. So,
truth.
mhm.
That's it. Well, good luck to our friend here. Hope she finds it. And if I had to give her any takeaway advice on this one, have the conversation with those guys about what you are expecting and what they're doing with themselves, because you don't want to end up catching a bug.
That's exactly right. And that's a good way to end that particular conversation, I think. Hopefully, actually she plays enough of the field and finds what she's looking for. That's what everybody ends up wanting anyway. So she's just playing the shotgun game. So hopefully it works out for her. But as we move on to the next topic, we actually start talking about the other way. So this is one of those things in which I think we all have one of these friends, and it's one of the things that I find, as the friend that they are complaining to, very somewhat annoying. because I have always been comfortable in my own skin, whether I am dating someone or not dating someone. And to have the friend complain uh, about themselves being alone and why do I not get the girl, or the girl's like all men suck. I don't understand why they're all so terrible without any introspection is frustrating as the friend. So let's read to see what Queltus 6000 says with regards to that friend of yours that's always complaining that they're single. So Queltus writes, we all know someone like this. They seem to want to find someone, but there's always a reason they're single, and it's never their fault. Of course. You love them as a friend, and you don't want to say anything that could potentially ruin the friendship, but damn, sometimes you just want to scream at them. And I completely understand where Queltus is coming from. It is annoying. There's no other word to it. You don't want to sort of sugarcoat in this particular case because Queltus is making to the point where, what do you say to a person like that? Sometimes you have to be brutally honest, and it's annoying. It's frustrating. You don't want to hear it all the time, uh, especially if you are a person that's sort of content with your personal situation. So it's not your job to play counselor to all of your friends. Yes, you are. You can absolutely be a shoulder to lean on, and they can throw ideas at you and maybe discuss as to what's going on. But if they whine and complain without any self realization and understanding that it's not always other people's fault, then you're just basically yelling at the wind. And Mr. Acorn, we both have people that fall into this category. And you were always very good about being in a relationship when you were younger. But so therefore, you weren't the ones that were ever doing this. It was always the people around us that was always doing the complaining.
I'm sure I complained about some stuff, and we're all guilty of bad behavior. So we'll get to me later, though. Let's start off with these people. Um, I do love how these like imaginary, no consequence, hypothetical questions come along, like as though you could do this without having an argument with a friend or without them, getting
Yeah.
pissed off at you and not talking to you for a while. Like, I mean, we can do it here because there's no consequences because it's just you and I talking to each other. No one's gonna talk back to us. So, I mean, unless the viewers want to start, spamming us in Gmail or something. But
Yeah.
uh, in my opinion, I think brutal honesty is it's a necessary part of being good friends with someone. At some point, they need to hear what they need to hear to get themselves straight, and delivery is 95% of whether or not it's going to be accepted. So brutal, maybe less brutal, but still honest. Uh, Hard truths are not always welcome. Some people would rather end a friendship than look in the mirror, and it's a chance you got to take when you're giving this kind of advice. But I'm just going to throw out an example of uh, a couple times in my life when I have heard someone complaining and complaining and complaining about being single, and the hard truth that should have been told at that time because it would have saved everyone of some problems. I had a female friend, and we were in our 20s at the time, and she's in her 30s now. She is still single, so
Hmm?
maybe this conversation still needs to happen. But very accomplished professionally, highly intelligent. Did great in school, did great in the world, not so great in the relationship department, and she's very frustrated by the way that she's been treated by men. They lie to her, they cheat to her, cheat to her. They cheat on her.
Cheat hard. Yeah.
They they borrow and take her money and don't ever pay her back. They underwhelm her in a number of ways. Just one after the next after the next. Like there's always going to be something wrong. And the hard truth that she really needs to hear is she picks crappy men. honestly. She often lets attractiveness lead the way, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the guy's, got a nice body and that excites her. So she goes with that. And then, lo and behold, he doesn't have the aspirations that she has in the working world, or, his hot body attracts other women and he gives it to them. So then she has to deal with that. And if it's not just the beauty thing getting in the way of her for her, it's the single amazing feature problem. And by that, I mean this person may have mediocre everything, but they have one thing that's really great about them, and that's what she focuses on, and that's what she goes in on, and she just expects the rest to keep up. So she's excited about something, and then hoping for the potential of the rest of it, and she lets that dictate who she chooses, and she expects them to share her life priorities. So maybe that's a lot of hard truth, but I think she would benefit from hearing that.
Yeah, she'd also very much not like the truth that you told her. Because
Well,
if I,
maybe.
well,
I
she
mean,
may
but
be, yeah.
if you spend your whole life pointing fingers and saying, this was the problem with this guy, and this was the problem with this guy, and this is why this guy wasn't good, and never look in the mirror and say, well, maybe all these problem guys, the one thing in common is that you've picked them to be in the relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
There is something on your plate there. There's something you have to decide to yourself. Am I picking the wrong people for, what's going to make me happy in a relationship? So, again, hard truth. You don't want to hear it, but that might be it.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just saying that she wouldn't appreciate it, but it's
True.
something that she would definitely want to hear. And if I'm thinking of this person,
Yep, you are.
yeah, she would get upset and
Yep.
try to defend her judgment, which is not in any way defendable, but to her it would be. But no, I get it. It's just one of those things that the self reflection doesn't work. Like I had a friend in college who was going to basically start off a really great career. You know, he spent like his entire time, got his engineering degree. He was doing great. The problem is that he would complain about himself being, for quote, forever alone. And it was one of those things in which it was self inflicted. And we would give him advice, he wouldn't follow it. Then he'd get drunk and get angry about it. And it's like, dude, seriously. It's like you have to put yourself in a situation to actually go out and do something. You can't just complain. You like a girl, don't tell us you like her, because that's all you do. Tell her you like her. Because who knows? She might actually, date you. But instead, you're just going to be this tall, skinny ginger who is going to be by herself. I'm sorry, but that's your problem. And by the end of it, he ended up moving away and didn't solve the problem because he refused to actually sort of better himself and try to be a little bit more aggressive, which was very annoying. And then when he would get drunk, he'd just get belligerent about it. So it's like, at some point, I almost thought he was just beyond help, and that the only way that he was going to be able to get someone is if that person literally fell in his lap. But there are some people who believe that that's the only way that they'll get another to get somebody to love them, which is highly unrealistic. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I often said to a very close friend of mine who had some single moments like these, um, the love of your life is not going to walk up to the door of your house, open it, walk inside, and go down in the basement and pull you off your computer and have a happy life together. Like, you've got to do something. You cannot just complain and expect it to appear. And also, who out there is so attractive to people that are complaining about their romantic situations? Like, that salt is not, it's not good. It's not helping anyone. It doesn't help yourself and it doesn't get you, the person that you want to be with. So less of that, more, introspection and putting yourself out there.
No, you're right.
I
But
had one more.
the thing
Oh,
about it
good.
is introspection for people is very very difficult. We can talk about it until our faces turn blue, with regards to it. But there it has to be a willingness for people to help themselves. And if the person that you are trying to sort of advise or, be the shoulder for that person to cry on refuses to acknowledge any of that, then there's no point in giving them advice, at least in my eyes, because that is a self uh, that is a sort of self problem. They have to correct that before that they can go forward in their own lives. In my opinion, like you cannot be unable to change yourself if you want to fix a problem. Sometimes the problem is indeed you. You don't want to hear it, but if you're unwilling to change that, then there is no amount of advice that will help you through the situation that you're in. So you would have to need some sort of godly intervention to fix whatever it is you're doing. Because if you're unwilling to become a better person, then there's just no help. So
Yeah,
yeah.
sometimes it just takes people being single and happy long enough where they come to the point where they just can't bear it anymore, and it forces them to make a change,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
No, no,
a
absolutely.
little success goes a long way from that. So, hopefully you don't have to, hopefully you don't waste enough time, like a lot of your time, to get to that point. Literally any day you can make a decision to step out of being salty and, you know, just talking to yourself about your annoyances and like start connecting to people. So I wanted to give one more example before we move on, and that's another friend, male in his 30s. He was successful with women his whole life, very friendly, funny, kind. He would often be dating, like not dating. He would often be in relationships, and then they would go on for a while, and then they sort of peter out.
Mm-hmm.
They would last as long as the girl would hang out, and when she realized it wasn't going anywhere, she'd leave. He'd be single for a good long while. He'd kind of complain about that. Another one would come along and rinse, repeat. Um, the hard truth that he really needed to hear was that he doesn't actually try. And he dates whoever shows up in his life for as long as they'll stick around. And he doesn't discriminate. Therefore, he's never really wowed by anyone and he doesn't push for something greater.
Mm-hmm.
He's just too comfortable and too willing to stay in the status quo. So these women that come to his life, he was attractive, he's funny, kind, all these other things. So like they wanted to be with him, and if he was single, he'd let them, and he would literally put no real effort into like keeping the relationship moving in any direction. So they just hang out until they were just like, "There's nothing happening here. I'm out." And yeah, that's all on him. So the second he goes out and like chases after someone, I think that'll be a really big thing for him because instead of just accepting and being uninspired, he would actually be inspired from the get go and put energy into it. So I don't know if you know him or not, but he's still going at it. He's still got his system in place.
I might have
So
an idea who this is, but
yeah,
we'll talk after the show.
okay, sure. Um, so before we move on to our next topic, I just want to ask you if someone were to look at a point of your single life and to deliver a hard truth to you at that time, what do you think that one might be?
That this one's easy. It's like I'm lazy. That is the number one
Yeah.
hard truth that I've accepted about myself with regards to dating.
Well, if you accept it that easy, it's not that hard of a truth.
It's not that hard of a truth, of course, but it is the number one reason that in situations of me being single, in some cases a little bit long term single, it's just I'm just not willing to go out there and do stuff. Motivation is one of the key factors with regards to you finding a significant other. And myself am not very motivated in a lot of cases. So uh, you have to have that drive, that sort of willingness to go out there. I don't have issues talking to people. My job requires me to do so. I don't have any weird nitpicky habits about approaching people or even having issues, meeting people in certain locations. The real issue that I have personally is the willingness to actually step out and go out and do something. Because I am comfortable in the situation that I am in, it is a very, very difficult thing for me to break out of my current routine. And that's what it would be. I mean, I've been told this by people, honestly, not just friends but family members too, because of me being, still unmarried. So I don't know if it's the thing about it is I don't know if it's such a hard truth when you know what it is and you know that's the main factor. But the thing about it is you've known me for forever. I've always been comfortable in my own skin. I've dated girls. I haven't dated girls. I've had relationships, long term, short term, things like that. But a lot of them has just been one of those things in which uh, I was highly motivated at that point when I met a certain girl to go for it and see if it'll work out. And in most cases, it didn't work out. Some lasted a year, some lasted 6 months, some lasted 3 months, stuff like that. But, you know, uh, if there's somebody that I meet that I think I'd be highly motivated to go out for, I'd go for it. But at this point, just going to sort of be comfortable doing nothing almost. So that's currently me in this situation. So, but that would be
All right.
my hard truth.
Well, for me, I think that there were certain periods in my life when I was single for, I don't know, extended period, a year, 2 years, whatever. And they were largely due to me not actively working to move past my previous relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I'm generally the type of person that gets into a relationship and it's like my first relationship was 2.5 years. My second relationship was 3.5 years. Like it's just I'm in it and that's where I'm at. And coming out of those relationships is really hard because I spent a lot of time kind of dwelling on it and even breathing life into relationships that should have already been done and whatever, but like trying to give the person benefit of the doubt or whatever the reasons were that we should have broken up. It's like, well, maybe we can make it work. So basically zombie relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was not it. That was no good. So the hard truth for me at that time would have been, hey, you are wasting your life.
Well,
You need to move on.
the one that I would have told you about was there was a stretch there where I thought you were getting bullied into relationships, where you were in
Yep.
relationships with women that you were just like, okay, whatever. Where it almost like body language wise, you almost seemed like you didn't even want to be there. But
Yep.
you were just like, oh, okay, whatever.
Right. I mean, but that's like so even during those times, I think I was probably still connected to a more significant previous relationship, but just going through the motions because, I'm single and I'm getting attention from girls that are cute or they have something to offer and I'm thinking like, well, why not try and see if this is something special?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
generally, I didn't go there because I wasn't clear in my head, so I was wasting my time, I was wasting their time, and it just,
yeah. And they
that's
lasted too
looking back,
long.
you can see.
They
Yeah,
lasted
they
too
always
long.
did.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
because uh, I'm good at
so,
that.
so
Well,
for yeah,
anyways,
so for anyways, for everybody at home, that is that. You've probably just you listened to us sort of bitch about our friends for 30 minutes with regards to it, but there is something to be learned about of people who are complaining that they're always single. If it gets to the point where it does get on your nerves, and this is my final thought on the whole thing, is that sometimes just go ahead and tell them the hard truth. Um, because you, as the person that is hearing all of this, will have examples that you can bring up to him or her, and you can say, hey, look, this is what you've come to me about for the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, extra period of time, and you haven't changed this about yourself. then you need to have to look in the mirror and try to figure out, do you want to change this? Or I have this nasty feeling that this is going to continue. And you're going to be on my couch talking to me again in 3 months, in 6 months, in 9 months, in a year. So, my
Yeah,
take on the
man.
whole thing. Mm-hmm.
No, that's it.
Yep.
That's right. Nobody wants a wet blanket.
Nope.
So
Not at all.
try to improve, and you're going to be happier too, right? If your issue is that you're constantly single and you hate being single, then what you should do is take the hard advice from people who care about you and try to make some adjustments. Worst case, you're still single
Yeah.
and they were wrong. At least you get to be right then.
Yeah.
Best case, they were right. You figure it out, and boom, you have a boy or girlfriend.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're done with that. Let's move on.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so topic three. I picked this one up because I mean, after I read it, I was just like, what is going on with this person? But I'm going to read it here for you guys. It is from Relationship Advice. The poster is from C Jules underscore. The question is how to move on from a boyfriend who doesn't want to have a future with me. The story may sound stupid, but it causes me a lot of pain. Me and my boyfriend, we are in a relationship for 2 years, but he still can't change his thought about that he cannot have a future with me because I'm Asian. He is white and he doesn't want to have mixed children. My brain is telling me to stop this shiz because my heart keeps repeating how happy we are together when we are not thinking about that Asian problem.
Okay, this is why I didn't read this. What the hell is this? Holy crap.
Yeah,
What the
this is racism. I mean,
it's
straight up.
it's straight up racism. And does he not realize that mixed Asian children are usually extremely beautiful? I don't
Right.
understand
Uh,
this at
if you
all.
want to make a bunch of money, have a mixed kid in Asia and they will be selling all of the products. Okay. So, I mean, but that's a totally aside. Like, whatever his personal preference is, homeboy is racist, and that's out there now. But like, wow, where do we begin with this girl? Like, she's s- obviously in love with him, but like that doesn't register to her as a reason to get rid of him and break up with him. She says she wants to move on, but she's like, oh, but we have such a loving, happy relationship. Like, homeboy's racist.
Yeah. That's it. It's she is in a situation where she is blinded by love for this guy. This is the type of guy that, in my eyes, because she's so blinded, that has a tremendous amount of faults, but she can't get past that. She can't even go. She can't get through the wall of he is such a wonderful person that she can't see that he is a straight up racist. That
Yes, he's
is
such a wonderful person, right?
crazy blinders.
He's
Yeah,
such a wonderful person, except he is disgusted by the possibility of his offspring sharing your DNA.
yeah,
Wow. I think there's missing information here. Like, she just it was a very kind of quick thing. Uh,
yeah.
but I think there are things that could influence how this is going and how it might turn out. One of them being what country are they living in, right? Because like, you know me, I lived over in China for about 3.5 years,
Yeah,
and during that time, being an American in Asia, you get a lot of attention, a lot of undeserved attention, actually, just for being different, you know. But if if she's in her home country and he is there working or something like that, he will be glorified just because he's, a white man. And that might make her feel like she doesn't have the same level of power in the relationship. So she's more willing to hold on to something that she perceives as high value. And maybe that sort of throws things off there. Um, and I've seen this again and again and again. And I actively tried to avoid any of those kind of dynamics in the relationships that I had there. And that's actually one of the things that my wife really appreciated about me when she first met me, because we met in Beijing, and she saw all the attention I was getting and how I just didn't care, and I wasn't entertaining, and I didn't take advantage of anything. I was just like, no, I want to be liked for me, not because of what you think I represent to you.
Hmm.
So maybe that's a feature of this. I'm not sure. I also don't know if there's any familial input. Is the kid himself racist, or is it his racist parents, grandparents, something like that? Or that might be an element. Uh, could he be lying because he just doesn't want to have a future with her and like using that as an excuse? It's a horrible excuse, but maybe.
If that is a lie, that is the stupidest lie that I have ever heard in my life. All you have to
Yeah.
say is that you don't want kids. There's a lot of people out there who want to be in relationships with people, but they don't want to have children. That happens. Um, you don't have to make up a lie about your. Oh, I'm sorry. I want kids, but if they're going to be mixed, I can't have kids. That's just a terror. That just in my mind it repulses me. It's like what the hell is wrong with you? No, 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 no. Like so, it's like okay. I don't know. I'm just completely flabbergasted by this post. This just blows
Yeah, I
my
gotta
mind.
wonder, like,
Yeah.
does this dude's racism show up in other ways? And why is she with him at all? Like, has this been true from the beginning with this guy? I mean, if he came out the gate saying this or feeling this, why did he stay with her? Like, if he knew that that wasn't, that's why I'm thinking it might have been a lie or something. Because like, why would he still be 2 years in a relationship with her and have it going forward if it is guaranteed never to go past a certain point? Maybe he's just enjoying himself and she's like lying to herself.
So I want to bring this up because there's this assumption uh, that white men fetishize Asian women as quote going to end up being like the perfect wife. There are assumptions that Western men make of Asian women, and they have a tendency to quote fetishize them. What isn't really necessarily discussed is that it goes the other way to a point too,
Yep.
where Asian women really want to date white guys, and I don't know if it's brought up a lot or even they'll deny saying it, but I have too many Asian women friends married to white guys that it's not just the guy doing this; it is also the girl. So I don't know if this is one of those cases in which, like, she maybe idolizes him a little bit and is not seeing the terrible person that he is and maybe looks at him as like a status symbol. These are all assumptions, of course. I don't know what the situation is. I got to believe if she had friends and she told one of her friends this, that they'd be like, what the holy is wrong with him? So, I mean, I
Yeah.
just don't know.
I mean, this kind of reads like a victim of abuse who knows it's horrible for her, but she's sort of stuck in the good times feeling
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, he hits me, but when he's not being violent, he's such a good father, he's such a good husband, that kind of thing. Like, this is not that extreme by any means, but it's still, she knows that there's that nasty element of him, and she's still looking at the fuzzy feelings of goodness around it, which is just, I don't know, that's hard. And then like the last sentence kind of threw me as well. And I can't tell if the last sentence referring to like that Asian problem is due to the English language being her second language,
Mm.
or if she's actually been led to believe that her Asianness is the problem here, which would be big time ouch.
Well, I mean, there are instances where people hate the race that they were born into. I mean, uh, that is not something that is unusual to see, where they have been told that a certain group of people are so much better than you, and you start to resent your own heritage and your race and where you come from. That's a serious problem. a lot of people should be proud of who they are, where they come from, the backgrounds and stuff like that. But there are instances where people are told this, like, you are always second class. You are not worth the clothes that you're wearing, blah, blah, blah. And people then have this sort of self hate to themselves with regards to their own race. And it is sort of terrible to see. And I don't know if this is just one of those things where they were using a translator and it didn't come out right, and it was just saying, we're not when we are not thinking about that Asian problem. It's like we're not thinking about being Asian as a problem or something like that. It's just not what they meant to say. But I don't know. I don't know. I just find this personally offensive, and it's just mind blowing that she would stay with him. It is unbelievable to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. There's really no. I mean, for me, there's no question that their relationship should be over now. That she should be looking for someone who not only wants to be with her, but also doesn't like isn't disgusted on some level about her existence as a different race. Like that, it's just gross. This girl, I really hope she gets out.
Yep. Yep.
And this dude can eat a dick. uh, Now, I was going to take this in a kind of a different direction. I was going to start talking about cross-cultural relationships and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I kind of feel like that should be a whole other conversation. I don't think that this is about the hardships of cross-cultural relationships. I think this is about racism, and we'll just leave it where it is.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? If we could save cross-cultural relationships to a Sunday focus segment, because there are a
Yep.
whole lot of things that we can talk about. The issues that people don't realize happen in close cultural relationships could be mind-blowing to people, and I believe there are a lot of people out there who have no idea what it is to date outside their own culture, and the
Yep.
problems there are tons of happy thing too that happens. So you can weigh the positives and the negatives, but I think we'll save that for a Sunday focus segment. I think so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're right about an hour now. Did you want to do something extra with the fun time topic, or
Oh
did
yeah. So extra fun time topic today is I was sort of trolling the internet today, and I found something very very interesting. So I just want to preface this with a what the hell, but we're going to show this to you now. I'm just going to show this to you. So this I found again on Reddit on the front page of all. So I'm going to start playing this video as you're going to see my reaction when we see it. So this is a man in the back of a taxi cab in Israel. He is filming himself and his taxi cab driver. And let's see what happens. So we see him, and he is on Tinder, and he is swiping everything, everything that comes in his way. I thought, honestly, that Tinder had stopped it because I thought you only get a certain amount of swipes per day. But I come to find out that you can pay money and you can swipe as many times as you want as long as you pay, and then you can add in quote super likes and whatever. But that dude is playing the shotgun game where he basically just shoots in a random direction and hopefully hits something. And if I'm in the back of this cab, I'm thinking, I guess that's one way to do it. It's like, okay, sure, why not? But I'd be like, you're supposed to be driving me, dude. Well, just stop swiping on Tinder. And I actually have a funny story to accompany this because there's a certain person that we both know that is a very attractive man. He's not had any issues usually finding women. We flew into the same airport to go to our dear friend's wedding in the mountains of North Carolina. As we were driving to the wedding location, which was roughly about 2.5 hours away from the airport up in the mountains in western North Carolina, Uh, he would have a phone that would literally go off every 5 miles. All of a sudden, he'd get a new ding, and it would be a Tinder notification. Then another 5 mile ding, another Tinder notification. Ding, another Tinder notification. He wasn't doing the swiping. People were finding him because he had Tinder activated on his phone as we were driving through random locations in North Carolina, and people were just swiping right as they were going through. I had never heard the phone go off that many times before in my life in a short period of time. And he wasn't doing anything. We were just talking most of the time, and we would just hear the phone go off. By the end of it, it became a joke. We were in the middle of nowhere, and the phone went off. So it's like, you know, it's crazy. It's like sometimes you're just the recipient of good luck, or sometimes you are just this cab driver who is just nonstop trying to find anybody that'll respond. It was
Yeah,
hilarious to me.
I gotta send my thoughts and prayers out to the people of Israel because they must be going through a drought because that dude is thirsty. Okay, he is he's trying so hard to get something, and I just I mean I guess that's true, right? If you ask 1,000 people to go out with you, you're gonna get something back.
Of
So
course.
maybe that's his goal.
Hmm.
But the second they find out that that's how you did it, you're gonna lose them because nobody wants to be the tiny, tiny statistic that responded, you know? That just doesn't feel good.
No, it
But
doesn't. But it
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 does
is just hilarious to me
it
that
reminds me of that Jim Carrey movie where he said he answered yes to every single question, no matter what it was,
Mhm.
and he ended up having all these wild and crazy experiences. Like maybe there's something to it. Maybe having a date with literally everyone who swiped would be an interesting kind of exploration. I'm sure people have done it. I'm sure you can find
Oh,
people on YouTube or
there are probably blogs
bloggers.
dedicated to,
Yeah,
to saying, yeah,
I'm sure.
I'll go on a date with everybody that swipes right to me. But
Yeah, but then there's also the chances that you're going to get serial killed.
yeah, I mean, like, you don't know the crazies that end up going out, that ends up happening. But remember, like Tinder, you have to talk to the person first. So, like, when they message, when they swipe right and you swipe right, you get that message screen, which apparently he got in the middle of all that. So, because there was the ability to message somebody that actually finally swiped, meaning is like, hey, let's go get coffee. Okay. Sometimes people expect a little more. You see people try to post like witty comments and try to make themselves look good. But how would you react if you were a woman? You ended up going on a single date with this person, and you ask, "Is like, oh, why did you swipe right on me?" Well, I was in my cab, dropping off a customer, and I was in the middle of the city, so I just swiped right on everything, and you were the first person to message me. That would
Exit.
yeah, well, that would give your ego a tremendous punch in the stomach, and it's like, oh. And then if you're one of those women who care about what they do, so what? So you were dropping off somebody. What do you do? Are you a limo driver? It's like, no, I drive a cab. It's like over two. Because I try not to judge jobs or anything like that. And if people drive Uber, they do all sorts of other stuff. It's great, but if you are trying to date somebody, you would want like one of the criteria we were talking about on our previous show is like a stable job. Um, that's a job that not necessarily the most attractive in the world to an attractive woman looking for somebody, right? I mean, it's like, oh, you work at McDonald's and you want a long-term relationship with me. I'm sorry, it's not going to work.
I mean, but there's everybody out there, right? So
Yeah,
if you are, I mean, everyone thinks that they deserve something better in every way.
yeah,
So they're always going to be looking up. So, if you get swiped and you say, I'm a neurosurgeon, that's going to get you more points than if you say, I'm a pizza delivery guy or something. Even so, there's still going to be the female equivalent to the male and male equivalent to to the female in all elements of jobs in life and socioeconomic status, all of it. So,
Yeah.
there should be something out there for you. But I just don't think like the hyper swiping is putting your best foot forward. I don't
No, it
think
definitely isn't. You're
you don't.
absolutely right about that, and especially like if you're found out to be hyper swiping, it's like, dude, do you have no standards? It's like, do you just not care? Are you just that thirsty that it doesn't matter? It's like if you're that thirsty, why not just go pay for a professional? Just be done with it. Don't mess with normal people. It's like I don't know. It's like okay, I don't know. I just found it hilarious because the dude in the cab is just like, what? So like my friend has a innate dislike of talking to their Uber drivers or their cab drivers and stuff like that. I think she would have freaked the hell out if she would have saw that. This is my friend in California. She has a lot of hangups when it comes to stuff, but this one, I think she would have laughed, and then she would have just gotten freaked out by the whole thing because she's very opinionated about dating and things like that. And I think this was one that if I was in the back of the cab, I would just like be like, I'd start asking questions. I'd be like, how many dates have you gone on by doing this? It's like has anybody been actually been a serious relationship, or is everything very superficial? I would be very very interested in sort of questioning this guy and his method and seeing if it actually works for him. So
Yeah, maybe he's got it right. Maybe everyone else is a fool, and this dude figured out the formula.
yeah,
Feel free to give it a try and let us know, guys.
yeah, drop us a line if it works for you. Email or drop our Twitter handle because I would love to know if hyperswiping works for you because I've never tried it. I don't think I'll ever try it, but if it's worked for you, I would love to hear your hyperswiping story, and we discuss about it here on Twitchline. But other than that, that's going to be it for us, I think, tonight. Timmy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Mm, no, we kind of hopped around to here and there. Uh, I will say one thing
Yeah.
based on our third topic. Um, if you're a racist, don't date people of other races. How about that? Like, it seems on the surface like a very stupid thing to say, but this guy annoys me in his existence that he will harbor those feelings about the woman that he's with for 2 years and not want to have children with her. Maybe he doesn't want to have children. Anyways, we're not going to get back into the subject. The point is, if you really feel strongly about your race or other people's races, then you do your thing. Go find someone who's the same kind of mindset as you, lift the rock, crawl under it, and just stay there. But don't make them feel bad or hurt because of your simple mindedness.
No. No. 100% wholeheartedly agree on that. And yeah. So uh, there's some good thoughts to chew on. But as always, thank you very much for watching this episode of Twitchline. Remember, we're here every Wednesday, approximately around 10:30 is when we start off here. And we'll talk about topics here on Reddit. On Sundays, we talk about a focus topic that we will go a little bit deeper on so that we can focus in and maybe lock down solutions, questions, answers that you might be looking for in our topic. You can check out our Sunday Focus segment from this week here on YouTube. And I think it is also archived here on Twitch. So if you want to check that out, go for it. But other than that, you can always drop us a line here by email at twitchlinelive@gmail.com. And as always, you can drop a tweet at Twitchline. Let us know how we're doing. Send us any articles or any things that you feel like we should be talking about with regards to modern dating and the dating life here nowadays in the 21st century. Also, if you want to get us on the go, you can join. You can search for us on SoundCloud. Just search Twitchline, and you'll see our shows come up, and you can listen to us on your phone, on your iPad, or anywhere you have any portable device that you can take that will have SoundCloud on it. But that's it for us tonight. Thank you very much for watching. For Acorn, I am Hodo. Thank you so much, and we hope to catch you on Sunday for our Sunday Focus segment. But other than that, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Good night.